Hello creative friends, I'm Shami Dixon. I'm so happy to be with you for Junk Journal January. My prompt is age, so I decided to use instant coffee and lots of other things to create a really interesting junk journal page. So I'm going to start out just by getting some gesso and some instant coffee. I get this from the dollar store, super cheap, and I'm going to find a way to use instant coffee all over this spread. So I start just by mixing it up. I have a palette knife here, and then I have some stencils, and I have some vintage book pages that I ordered online, but you can use any kind of paper for this, and if you add more coffee it will be darker. But it's a super easy and fun technique. I'm going to take the stencil and my book page and I'm just going to spread it out. Make sure that you rinse off your stencils or wipe them down after you do this so they don't get too hard. And you're just going to take a little bit and just spread it through, and it gives just this amazing texture. I really wanted to add a lot of texture to the spread too, because when I think of things that are aged, I always think of like the tattered texture and just the beauty of like tea dyed and coffee dyed items. Definitely my favorite. I love anything vintage and old. I think it's super interesting. And I just have this sandwich bag that I'm just going to smear some of the leftover that is left on the stencil. I also have this beautiful stencil, and I'm going to add some of the gesso and paint and instant coffee mixture to this. Okay, so really simple. I have definitely done this technique a lot, and I really love just the texture it creates. You can even like put another piece of paper on top and pick up a little bit of texture too. And I'm sorry for the autocorrect, it will be off in a second, but sometimes my camera is a little bit stubborn when I'm moving a little bit fast. So I'm just going to wipe down the stencil just to see if I can get any more texture onto this bag. So really great, and I'll use that for collage or something. And then if you do not have a stencil, you can just take a palette knife, or you can even use a spoon if you don't have a palette knife or a plastic spoon, and just like smear on like little spots of texture. And then I have this Amazon package, and one day I accidentally opened it and it has this gorgeous texture, so I'm going to include that into some of our elements for our textural page for our junk journal. And then I added a little bit of instant coffee and water, and I'm just going to make those pages look even more brown and beautiful and aged. So this is dried. The gesso, I love using the gesso with anything, especially with stenciling, because it doesn't take as long as modeling paste. So I'm just brushing that on, and here we go. This is how they look. It dries a lot later than what you think that it was. And now we are done with autocorrect, so we should be able to focus a little bit too. So I'm just going to pick a page from in my junk journal. This is one that I made for Get Messy, like Junk Journal May, and I did all the prompts, but I still had pages left over, so we're going to use this one. So I am just going to start out by cutting out kind of thin strips of all of the pages that I made, and this gorgeous textured little discovery that I made from my Amazon package. So I'm just going to cut out like little thin rectangle shapes, and I'm going to apply it to the page. So super fun, really easy. And I'm not going to cover all of it with these papers, but I really love using my own kind of painted papers in my art journal pages. And I love junk journaling. Like, it's so much fun just to, I think that I'm much more experimental in my junk journals and my altered book journals than in my art in general. I just have an incredible freedom, which is really great. And then this is just like, I tuck like, just like something that I found from the dollar store that has like little, where you can practice like your penmanship, or maybe I found it at a thrift store, and I love to make like neutral painted papers, so that's what I did. I added them on there, which is so great. I added like black stuff, and then I added a little bit of the texture too. And I think that's black India ink. And then I'm just going to cut up some more of these pages and into the same kind of rectangles. And then I'm going to take just some matte medium, and I'm going to apply it to the page. You could absolutely use a glue stick if you wanted for this technique, and that would work out great. These papers are a little bit delicate, so I didn't want to chance it with a glue stick. So I'm just going to take my brush, put a layer of the matte medium on the page, and then I seal it. So super, super simple. Take your time. This is not sped up very much. I find that I work super fast in my junk journal, so it's fun. I always enjoy this process. And then I'm going to just add those other pieces just all over the page. Just make a composition that is interesting to you. You can cover up as much or as little as you want, but we are just after just some really beautiful texture and an interesting background, which is always a great thing, right? And I'm just gonna layer those up. You could even add more layers of papers on top. You could even go over this with one of the stencils that we use, so the sky is the limit. Definitely make this process your own, and I hope I give you lots of ideas. But it's so nice to just kind of utilize one product and see how far you can push it, right? So I'm just using like white paint, water, and gesso, and with the instant paint, and that's it. So now I'm going to add a little bit of the instant coffee, and I am just sprinkling on, and then I'm getting some cheap white paint and I'm spreading it out. I definitely covered up more than what I intended for this. I really wanted some of those pieces to show a little bit more, so I'm just going to take a little bit of a wet paper towel and just wipe it back a little bit. I couldn't find my baby wipes. They're somewhere, but I couldn't find them. But yeah, you're just gonna have fun. You can even layer on more pieces if you want. So in a couple areas, I'm gonna layer on a little bit more of the papers that we created. Once that's dry, or while that's drying, I'm just gonna take this piece of thick paper, I think it's a piece of packaging, and I added a little bit of water to my instant coffee, and I'm gonna create like a little paint. And I also have cotton swabs, and I'm just making little dots. I love florals too, so I decided, why not make some like coffee dyed or aged looking like florals? I think that'd be great. So I am going to grab a toothpick because I really wanted to have some really fine lines, and I'm just going to dip it in there and kind of pull it down. This is a little bit tedious. You could definitely use like a fine brush and that would work out really, really great too, but I just wanted to experiment and see what I could come up with using coffee. I wanted kind of a vocal point on this page, and I find that flowers always make me happy, so that's what I decided to use. And this is like not a realistic flower. I was thinking of maybe baby's breath or something like that, that just has a lot of different little flowers and is connected. And then I'm going to go in with my brush and just add a little bit more details. You could stop here, but I'm going to take it even further with our instant coffee, and I'm just going to go in and add just a few more details. I'm going to add a leaf too, and this is just a fine brush. I think a company sent it to me and then they never got back to me, so I have these beautiful brushes that I tried out and that I love, but I will link them in the video below in case you're interested. And then we are going to go ahead and add, we're going to make another one too because I have that other piece. So again, just a floral shape, and I'm going to add a stem with my toothpick and just add some connecting lines. And these are abstract flowers. They're not realistic at all, but it's just super fun to kind of play a little bit with florals. I think that flowers are very, very forgiving, but I love them on a page. I love them painted, stamped, stenciled, any kind of way. I love using flowers, and I love drawing them too. Even though mine are always abstract, they're not very, very realistic, and they don't have a lot of details, but I absolutely love it. So I think when you're junk journaling, the main thing is just to make things that you love. And then I'm going to add a little bit of white paint to this because I wanted kind of a variation to add a little bit more details to my flowers. So I'm just going to go in. It's not fully dry. It's only been like a minute. I'm going to add centers into my flowers to give it a little bit more detail. And I'm just going to go around a little bit and add like a little wonky line and go into some of those stems and the leaf and just add a few little details. You can't get this wrong. I promise it will be awesome and work out great. Awesome. And I know that you have seen so many amazing videos and that you continue to see absolutely amazing videos, which is so great. And I'm going to add some splatters just to finish it up. So I'm using that same little pot of instant coffee and water and paint that we did before. Now it's time to put this beauty together. So the page has dried completely and I'm just deciding which floral I want to use. I like making multiples of things, or even triple or a lot of them. I find that I get looser when I do that. So, and then I have this stamp that I thought maybe I wanted to use on here, but I decided not to. And then I just cut out words from just a magazine. And I'm going to see if I can piece together some kind of saying or something, or title or something that I want to say with this page. So I decided to use the word dreaming, and then I'm going to kind of be inspired, kind of like a found poem, but maybe a found magazine saying rather than a poem. But it's really fun. I love cutting out words from magazines and seeing what I can come up with, and I will definitely use this pile that you see. And I kind of stuck with like neutral colors because, yeah, the age look. So that's what I'm going to use. And yeah, just take your time. It doesn't have to be anything, you know, crazy. You can just be inspired by the words. I find that that helps. You can even like maybe find a poem or word that you like online and use this technique too. And I really wanted to use story, but I was like, I don't know how that will fit in. So I end up being inspired by the word dreaming. And I think about how important it is to dream, right? And how dreams can come, when you're dreaming or daydreaming, sometimes it can really like help you or save you, you know, from some kind of pain or a situation that you're in, you know. So it's so important to keep dreaming. So I wanted that as a reminder on this page to myself, to keep dreaming, because it can save us in so many ways. So I'm going to cut out there was a part of it that was already, like, it already had a your, but I wanted kind of a different kind of text. When I'm doing these kind of like word collages, I really love to have different text and different backgrounds. So that's what I'm thinking about. And I'm going to glue everything down just with an old trusty glue stick. And you can space this out as you want. You can, you know, add a question mark. You can even like break apart some of the letters and spell things out. So fun, super easy. And I decided not to use that. I'm just gonna try it out again. And I'm like, I don't think it goes with this page. So yeah, so I'm going to set that aside for another project. But I found these really beautiful vintage stamps at my local Creative for You store. So that's awesome. And I'm just going to push everything down, and then I decided that I am going to go over the words with that mixture of the paint and the instant coffee that we did, just to kind of make them pop a little bit, or to add a little bit of interest around the edges. So super, super simple and easy. But I so hope that you enjoyed this quick tutorial. It was really fun. I definitely enjoyed this page, and I've been so busy. I'm teaching classes to kids this summer, so life has been a little bit crazy and I haven't been able to create the way that I wanted. So I was so happy when Megan invited me to be a part of this wonderful collaboration, and I know that there's so many amazing artists. So I hope that you check them out and that you're inspired, and I hope that we see each other again, and happy creating, and hopefully I will see you on the internet. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye bye.